What up, everybody? Before we get into my day 2 draft grades for the Giants and Joe Schoen, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Because one, it's midnight as I'm filming this video, but I promised you nobody was going to put out more Giants content than we did over the weekend. So subscribe so you can get videos on every single pick the Giants make. They got 4 picks left to go in day 3. We're going to talk about all of them in individual videos. So subscribe to the channel, hit that big red button. What up, everybody? You're watching New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. In today's show, I'm going to give my grades for the day 2 picks the Giants made. We know they selected John Michael Schmitz in round 2. Then they traded up in round 3 for Jalin Hyatt, the explosive pass catcher out of Tennessee. We'll talk about Hyatt here in a little bit, but let's start with the big fella and the guy that I think is going to be the day 1 starting center for the New York Football Giants, and that is John Michael Schmitz, the center out of Minnesota. He was the 57th selection in the 2023 NFL Draft. The Giants came in with a hole at the center spot, and John Michael Schmitz, he is going to fill that. He is going to be your day 1 starter. He was my number 1 center in this draft class, 6'3.5", over 300 pounds, 24 years old. He was a senior this past year, and he is an absolute stud. He has a consistent technique along with good smarts. I think he's the smartest center in this draft class. I think he's the best center in this draft class, and I think he's the most ready to play center in this draft class. He only played center with the Golden Gophers, which I don't really have a problem with. Maybe down the line you want to move him to guard, but I'm not really worried about that. I think he's going to be a center for the next 12 years for Big Blue. He's a best fit in a zone blocking scheme, even though his quickness is sometimes iffy, but the hand placement, the physicality, and just the nastiness that he plays with at the line of scrimmage is something that I fell in love with. I thought he has a really strong initial punch, and I think he has a good base and keeps his feet under him. Not the quickest guy, not going to be a guy that you ask to pull and get on the edge to lead block for a running back, but someone, if you're a Giants fan, you got to be absolutely hyped about. You got the best center in the class at pick number 57. This is what Dane Brugler of The Athletic, in my opinion, the best draft guy in the game, said about John Michael Schmitz. They said Schmitz must do a better job keeping his feet, hands, and eyes on the same page, but he has the play strength and finishing attitude to execute at the NFL level. With improved consistency, he could be a functional pro starter. I think he's going to walk in and be a day 1 starter for the New York Football Giants. He'll have to end up beating out Ben Bredeson at that spot, but I don't think that's going to be a problem for John Michael Schmitz. It sounded like Joe Schoen and Brian Dable were very happy with this pick, and how can you not be? This is someone that is coming and going to play right away. I'm absolutely pumped about this. I think the biggest actual need coming into the draft for the Giants was the center position. They went corner in round 1. They got a great guy in Deonte Banks. You guys know I'm a big fan of that. I'm also a big fan of John Michael Schmitz. I'm really a big fan of the 3rd round pick we made. But before I give you my grade on the pick of John Michael Schmitz, JMS, I want to hear from you guys in the comments section. Voice your thoughts right now. Grade the pick of the center out of Minnesota, A, B, C, D, or F. I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going A+ because I really believe this was one of the best value picks in the NFL draft. When you can align position of need with best player available, and you're able to make that selection at the right spot on the board in the right time in the NFL draft, you get an A+ for me. You got the best center in the draft. You got someone at a position of need, and John Michael Schmitz is going to come in and be your day 1 starting center. He makes Daniel Jones better. He makes Saquon Barkley better. He makes your wide receiver core better, and he makes you a more physical football team at the point of attack. He's going to help you win the line of scrimmage game, and that's something the Giants struggled with in the 2022-2023 season, especially in the playoffs against the Eagles. I'm very, very hyped about JMS. I give it an A+, round 2, pick 57. We'll get to my thoughts on Jalin Hyatt coming up in a second, but a double reminder to subscribe to the channel because we are not done here on the channel. The draft is just getting underway. We still got day 3 of the draft to talk about. And then on Sunday, we're going to put out our UDFA videos that the Giants are going to go out and sign. We'll break all that down. We are your one-stop shop for Giants content all year long. Hit that sub button. Sub for Giants Dubs. In round 3, when pick 73 rolled around, the Giants were still sitting at pick number 89, but they made the call, and it was actually Brian Dable who texted Sean McVay and initiated the trade talks. They got a deal done. The Giants, they moved up from 89 to 73. They sacrificed their 4th-round pick, so they don't have a 4th-round pick anymore, but I am a big fan of this move. This is the trade that they made in round 1. They made 2 trades early in this draft. And I think that tells you that Joe Schoen had his mind made up about players that he wanted to go get. He identified Deonte Banks as a player. He moved up. Then he identified Jalin Hyatt as a player that he wanted to add to this team. It costed you pick 128, but I don't have a problem with that because you weren't going to get a player like Jalin Hyatt at pick 89. And if it costs you 128 to go get the guy you want, do what you do. Joe Schoen, he was a move maker today on day 2, and he's really been a move maker all NFL draft long. Let's talk about Hyatt, though. 6 foot and 1/8 inch, 176 pounds. He said he's up to 185 pounds. Said he wants to play at 190 pounds this year. I had him as the number 6 receiver in this class, and he is just a big play threat, and that's something the Giants needed to add this offseason. If you go back and look at the stats for Hyatt, it shows that he was one of the most explosive players in this draft, and that fits another huge need for the Giants. The Giants were one of the least explosive passing offenses in the National Football League last year, and when you had a guy like Hyatt, who had 15 catches of more than 30 yards, 11 catches of more than 40 yards, 50 catches of more, 7 catches, of more than 50 yards, 5 catches of more than 60 yards, and the second most deep yards in college football. That's going to help your offense become more explosive. The Giants, they needed more playmakers, more home run hitters, and Jalin Hyatt, he is the best in this draft. When you look at what he did in the 2022 campaign, he played in 12 games for the Volunteers, had 67 grabs for 1,267 yards, 19 yards per catch. So the guy had 15 touchdowns and he had a long catch of 78 yards. Is his route tree a little limited? Sure, but I don't think they asked him to do all that much at Tennessee. They just said, get behind the defense and we're going to throw you the ball. Like John Michael Schmitz, Jalin Hyatt, he makes your offensive line better because you can't blitz as much with him on the outside. Defensive backs have to take their first step back. That helps the run game. But what I love about Hyatt is he was his best when his best was required, and he did it against the SEC's best in the Alabama Crimson Tide. In that ball game against Nick Saban's defense, the man had 6 catches for 228 yards, 34.5 yards per catch, and not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 tutties. Roll Tide roll. That's what he was doing, and he was rolling to the end zone, holding up that peace sign. Jalin Hyatt is a playmaker. He's a good receiver, and he's absolutely is not even close to the peak of the receiver that he can be. If he continues to polish up those route running skills, I believe he could be one of the best wide receivers that comes out of this draft class. Like John Michael Schmitz, I hate repeating myself, but what I love about this team and this new regime is they match best player available with position need. They did that with Hyatt. They did that with John Michael Schmitz. They did that with Deonte Banks. None of these guys were reaches. Joe Schoen, if I was wearing a hat, I'd tip it to you because, man, you are doing a hell of a job. Grade the pick, though, before I give you my pick grade for Jalin Hyatt. I want to hear from you. A, B, C, D, or F. Sound off for me down below. I'm going to cheat once again. A++. That is what I'm giving Jalin Hyatt as the pick for the New York Football Giants. I believe you got a top 7 receiver in this class, and you got him with the 73rd selection in this draft class. What he brings is what you needed, and he fills a spot that is going to make this football team so much better. He's a true outside receiver. He can take the ball and go. He can go and catch it and take it over the top of the defense. 4.4 speed. The most electric player in college football last year, I give it an A++. So when I look back on day 2 of the NFL draft, and really both days of the NFL draft, I give Joe Shane and the New York Football Giants an A+ grade. I give Deonte Banks an A. I give John Michael Schmitz an A+, and I give Jalin Hyatt an A++. I don't love that the Giants had to trade up to get these guys, but when you identify a player that you love, it costs to be the boss, it costs to move up, you got to spend something to make something. Scared money don't make money, and the Giants, they went out and they made some big-time baller moves. I am extremely thrilled. I give the Giants an A+ overall so far for the 2023 NFL Draft. We're going to close out today's show taking a look at some players that could be on the board when the Giants pick again, because they only have 4 picks left in the NFL Draft. When you look at day 3, they pick at 172, they pick at 209, 243, and 254. So I'm going to look at the top running backs remaining because I think that's a position of need. We're going to look at some edge rushers and then some off-ball linebackers. The top 4 running backs still on the board, in my opinion, is Israel Abanikanda. If they find a way to get Abanikanda to New York, that is going to blow my mind. I am going to be in love. I also like Roschon Johnson, a downhill runner, very physical. He is someone that I think would complement Saquon Barkley really well. Not a receiving back, but a downhill, really, really strong runner. Runs through a lot of arm tackles. I also like Zach Evans at Ole Miss. He was really good at TCU. I think he would be a good pick. And you got Chase Brown, running back out of Illinois, who I think is the number 11 running back in this class. Some linebackers that I think the Giants, off-ball linebackers, could look for. Ivan Pace is the number 1 available for me. This man is like a missile on the defensive side of the ball. He's a sideline-to-sideline tackler. He's a north and south player. He likes to get up the field. When he's got to move backwards, he's not as well. But his read and reaction skills is elite. These are the other 3 linebackers I could see them taking. But, man, if Ivan Pace is there at 173 whenever the Giants are on the clock again, I'd love him. Then some edge rushers. I think the Giants do need to add another edge rusher, and these are some guys that I think they could look at. These are the top 4 left. I like Colby Wooden. I think Yasir Abdullah is also a special player out of Louisville. Isaiah McGuire as well as Nick Hampton. Any one of these guys I would be absolutely thrilled with. You already got 3 guys that are going to be immediate difference makers for the Giants in this draft class. If you could find someone else that can help you produce off the edge in your linebacking core at the running back position, it's going to be a home run draft for the New York Football Giants. I appreciate everybody that has tuned in to today's video. If you tuned in on day 1 of our live coverage, if you tuned in on day 2 of our live coverage, I want to say thank you. We appreciate it. I'm very happy with the way the Giants have executed this draft so far. Very, very happy. If you're happy and you made it this far in the video, show some love. Hit that thumbs up icon, and we'll see you during day 3 of the NFL Draft.